Has Benjamin Netanyahu gone on his own volition, or has he been summoned back to the White House?
I suspect the latter, which is partly why the Israelis are pushing very, very hard. I mean, they're attacking into western Gaza City, into Khan Yunis and Rafah in the last 24 hours because they're doing what militaries always do. They're grabbing as much territory before they're told they have to stop. Which suggests that Netanyahu would be very sceptical about a ceasefire, but he may find that one is imposed upon him by Trump. And what Trump is offering is an interesting sort of package. He's saying, OK, the idea is return of all of the hostages, withdrawal of most Israeli forces, except for a couple of areas, probably the Netzarim corridor and the Philadelphia corridor, those areas they feel they have to control. The beginning of some sort of meaningful discussion about the future of Gaza, which there hasn't been so far. And interestingly, that Israel have got to drop all charges against Benjamin Netanyahu. This is Trump. Again, no respect for the law or due process. Just stop it. Stop witch hunting the poor man who's on these corruption charges that go back over 10 years, because that's part of that was sugar the pill for Netanyahu. I will make your justice system drop all charges against you. You've got to go along with this. It's also part of a much bigger approach that Trump is taking. He's talking about bringing Syria into the Abraham Accords process. So get Syria to normalise, the new Syria, where sanctions have been lifted by the Americans. Good idea. Get them on board with Israel. But, of course, Israel occupies parts of Syria. They're sitting
further into.
They're Mount Hermon. They're on Mount Hermon. They're in Deraa. They're in the triangle between Jordan, Israel and Syria, that little triangle itself. So already Israeli forces are in Syria for their own reasons, but bring Syria in, then bring the Saudis into the Abraham Accords. I mean, this doesn't lack for ambition. And so President Trump is trying to do a big deal with lots of moving parts. Now, to professionals, this looks really naive, but who's to say it won't work? Because there are so many moving parts. It just might be that on the basis of the Iran issue, which is now moving into different territory, the Iranian-Israeli antagonism, possibly, maybe this is the moment for a big, imaginative push to remake the Middle East. And the beginning of that will be a ceasefire in Gaza. That's what the Americans are thinking. I'm not going to hold my breath on any of this.
No, and you think of the months preceding October the 7th, 2023, Benjamin Netanyahu was trying to reform, reimagine the Supreme Court. There was huge mass demonstrations against that. Ultimately, it got shelved and it got derailed. And you think of all the years before, there was, 6 elections in 4 years, the best part of?
That's right.
You can hardly think that the Israeli populace will stand the leader of another country thousands of miles away trying to overrule the justice system in their own country.
You wouldn't think so, would you? But that's not the way it may look to the White House. Because, I mean, Netanyahu is an wily old bird. He's been there 20 years. He's a natural autocrat. And Trump likes autocrats. He just likes the power and the decisiveness. There's hardly anybody more indecisive than Netanyahu, who just his strategy is to get to the end of the week, to survive week after week after week in power. But nevertheless, this seems to be... I mean, I don't think Trump likes Netanyahu, but he recognises that through Netanyahu is maybe the key to a peace deal in Gaza. If Trump could engineer a reasonably sustainable peace in Gaza, reasonably sustainable, then he's a bit nearer to his Nobel Peace Prize, which is what this is really all about.
Well, that was the words I was about to write down on a piece of paper, because, let's be honest...
Nobel Peace Prize and the statue at Mount Rushmore for extending the territory of the United States, physically extending the territory to Greenland. That gets him, in his view, that gets him a statue on Mount Rushmore, along with the other 4 great presidents.